Welcome, everybody. This is another edition of the Waiting Room Podcast, and I am your host, Kyle Waite. Today, we're going to be talking about the NBA Finals. We're going to be talking about the U.S. Olympic team, and we're going to be talking responsible gun ownership. I know it's not the funnest subject for everyone, but it's something near and dear to my heart. I know it's a divisive topic, but July 4th. Happened over the weekend. Of course, that comes with our one of our big holiday things that we tend to do in this country is we tend to shoot each other. As much as I love my guns, I love the people in the country a little bit more. So, I felt like I wanted to touch on that. Like I was talking, we're going to talk about the NBA Finals. Game 1 ended, probably 20 minutes ago with Phoenix going up 1-0. We all know I'm not a fan of it. We all know that I want Phoenix to lose. But honestly, if I was a betting man, I had told you guys before I was going to pick Phoenix to win. However, I'm not rooting for them. I'm not doing it. I can't do it. It's Chris Paul's fault. I'm gonna be honest. I can't bring myself to root for Chris Paul. I can't bring myself to root for a Suns team that I think is inferior to the Steve Nash Suns of the early 2000s. I can't do it. Can't do it. Now, I had planned to do the show before the NBA Finals had started, but life gets in the way. So I just wanted to bring what I really thought was the difference in what is going to how the series is going to swing. And basically it's going to be on 3-point shooting. It's going to be on 3-point shooting. It's the name of the game for the NBA as of 2021. It's probably been that way for the last 5 years. But while going through data, one of the things that I noticed was specifically the Phoenix Suns 3-point shooting. Now, what I'll say about that is that for the most part, Phoenix Suns have been playing not quite over their head, but fairly consistent as far as what their season numbers would state. Just going off of the top 8 shooters for their team, we've got Torrey Craig with a whopping one a game. So it's not a whole lot. He's close to 2 a game, but he's shooting 44%. For the season, he's shooting 36% on about 2 a game. Again, fairly consistent with what he was doing. Dario Saric, 44% in the playoffs, 34% during the regular season. What I will say about that is a lot of it has to do with the simple fact that he was shooting about 3 per game during the season. They're toning down his role in the playoffs because he's a big, slow white guy who unfortunately got hurt during the first quarter of tonight's game. But you know what? Take his role a little smaller. His shots become a little bit more important. And as of today, he was shooting about 44%. Chris Paul. Again, the point guard, the guy that's effectively made every team that he's ever gone to better. 40% from 3. He's shooting about 3 a game during the playoffs. He was shooting about 39% with about 4 attempts. So again, not quite above his head. Basically, what he'd been doing, all season. Jay Crowder, 30, we'll call it 37% on roughly 6 attempts per game. During the season, he's shooting about 38%. Wouldn't you know it, the guy, for anybody that watches the NBA at least a little consistently, the one thing that you know about Jay Crowder is he will turn into a pumpkin. Now, it may not matter, if I'm being real honest, with the way that Phoenix plays, with the way that Mike Budenholzer coaches. He coaches very game to game. He does not coach moment to moment. And that was evident in this first game. It was evident in this first game where you constantly see it had to be a coverage issue. because frankly, you would see somebody step up for the Bucks defense to double a guy, and then one guy would be wide open, an easy 2 points, an easy 3 points. It had to have been something that was decided as far as matchups go, as far as this is the game plan. And, I'm not going to pretend I'm smarter than Mike Budenholzer. You know what? He's been coaching the league a long time, but he is a very game-to-game type guy. And that's really been the issue, is that the Hawks were almost able to take advantage of it. I mean, and Phoenix seems a little more prone to take advantage of a guy who will adapt once the game ends. It won't adapt during the game. And it was evident during the Bucks-Suns game, that it wasn't going to happen for them. They always cut it close. Phoenix would drag out a lead a little bit further. But as I said, Jay Crowder kind of turns into a pumpkin. He did it in Boston. He did it last year in Miami. It's one of those things Jay Crowder does. It may not matter. It really may not. It's one of those funny things that I'll watch and it's like, oh yeah, I kind of expected. And he'd been playing, he'd been playing better. Typically, there's a fairly precipitous drop in his production from regular season to playoffs, just by probably the nature of him getting a little too ballsy and better competition. Cameron Payne, everybody's darling in Phoenix, shooting about 36% during the playoffs. He shot about 44% during the regular season. Again, it's a little bit of a dip, but he's been working a little bit more on his inside game. And again, it showed during this game, but not really one of those guys I was focused on. Mikal Bridges, 35% on 4 attempts. He's shooting about 42% on 4 attempts during the regular season. And Devin Booker, 34% on 6 attempts. He's shooting 34% during the season. Really, the only glaring issue that we've seen from Devin Booker so far is he shot 28% on roughly 6 attempts against the Clippers. Not a great shooting night for him tonight either, but it is what it is. But what I found doing all this research is Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson is their best 3-point shooter during the playoffs, and he's what I had deemed before the game started as probably the X factor for these games. If Cam Johnson's shooting well from 3, he doesn't have to shoot a lot. But being that he is a threat from 3, he shot about 35% on 5 attempts during the season. During the playoffs, he's shooting about 45%. And he probably bumped it up a little bit more, going 2 for 4 tonight. Again, Cam Johnson, he's a big, tall guy. I know, those guys from North Carolina typically are taught how to play a little bit smarter. If they're not, crazy talented, Cam Johnson, smart guy, as the broadcast brought up tonight, he's going for his master's now while playing in the NBA, which I think is great. But again, he seems to be that X factor, that thing that will stretch out the rest of the floor. Jay Crowder, he's not a reliable guy. Cam Johnson, I feel a little more comfortable saying, hey, this guy may be able to do something consistently. And that's what he's shown, is he's taken less attempts, more meaningful shots. That is the research I did before the series. Now, I didn't know Giannis was going to play in tonight's game. I don't really know if, based on matchups, I don't know that him playing is helpful or unhelpful. Giannis, 2-time MVP. He's a great player, but his inability to shoot from deep is noted. It's noted. He's got an okay mid-range game. He does most of his work on the inside or just driving. But again, Giannis is not capable from deeper mid-range to the 3-point line. And that's evident when you watch teams playing. They sink back. Again, Jay Crowder, a little bit thicker guy. If you can't get a step on Jay Crowder, especially with Giannis's gimpy knee. It's going to be one of those things where I find it hard for the Bucks to find a way to win. Now, again, want the Bucks to win. Going to be rooting for them to win this entire series. But man, it's going to be hard to overcome Suns team who seems to have it figured out. Like they're not tinkering. They're not having to do a whole lot different from what they've done pretty much the entire playoffs. They've essentially got their team. They've got their rotation. They know what works for them. Dario Saric being out, not a huge loss. Again, he's a big, slow white guy, not known for his defensive prowess. And most guys, despite the lack of depth on the Milwaukee team, most guys not named Brook Lopez are probably able to get past Dario Saric. Again, not a huge loss. Now, what I will say is that one thing that will really determine this, and it's kind of been what's determined some of these other series with the Suns, is free throw shooting. And with that, a little bit of officiating. So for those of you that didn't watch tonight, I came away a little frustrated, just watching the game, watching the back and forth. Again, I'm not going to pretend that a little bit of my bias doesn't lean into some of my takes, but I would complain either way. Again, I don't have a rooting interest for either team, but I think it's one of those drawbacks for a lot of fans. I think watching a game where you see uneven officiating, you see guys kind of do the same thing, but more often than not, it kind of depends on who it is. Specifically, tonight I watched a sequence, but I think it's about 3 possessions where Chris Middleton takes a drive into 3 guys, gets fouled, ends up hitting the deck. No foul call. Come back the other way. Phoenix Suns are setting up their offense. Devin Booker gets a guy to jump. Guy starts coming down. Devin Booker jumps into him. Foul call. Okay. This is supposed to be going away next season, so I'm just kind of holding my breath. Is what it is, happens. It's one of my least favorite parts about watching NBA basketball right now. Next possession. Again, got 2 possessions, now we're on 3. Next possession. Chris Middleton essentially does the same thing. Gets Jay Crowder to jump. Jay Crowder jumps up. Chris Middleton jumps into him. No foul call. No. Now, all in all, it was. I know what superstar calls are. If your name's not Giannis, if your name's not Chris Paul, you're not really a superstar. I mean, Devin Booker's coming into his own. Exciting player to watch. He's been a little less efficient during the playoffs, but I mean, I guess we're calling him a superstar, but it's not fun to watch those calls. It's not fun to watch guys essentially do the same thing and no foul call. And realistically, you could see the difference in officiating while watching this game. Watching Phoenix they weren't driving a whole lot. And if they weren't getting fouled during the shot. A lot of Phoenix's free throws are coming off of, hey, I'm going to lean into you. And that's great if we're going to call it both ways. But if you see guys constantly hit the deck for the other team, you're kind of wondering where the foul call goes. Up until 3:26 of the fourth quarter, the free throw disparity was 24-10. Now I watched the game. Again, and I know the NBA is a lot of jump shooting now. But watching the game, watching essentially the same kind of stuff happen for both teams and seeing a 24-10 disparity for free throws. Yeah, Giannis gets 6 free throws in the last 3.5 minutes. Great. Makes it look a little prettier. Jay Crowder gets 2 free throws, so disparity is about 26-16. Great. Awesome. But man, it's real tiring to watch the same stuff. It's one of those things that bothers me. It's not the biggest deal in the world. It's one of those things that bothers me during the course of a game where I'm watching. I'm like, man, especially one right after the other. I sort of expect if you're going to call it one way, you'll call it the other. And especially if it happens immediately after it happens the first time. Again, just little things that bother me. But running down the game real quick, Chris Paul, he goes for 32 and 9 assists. I can't really hate on the guy. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to. He had an efficient night. I believe he was 11 for 19. He's doing what he's supposed to. He's getting under people's skin. He's hitting shots. He's finding people. I'm kind of hoping that Coach Bud, over the course of between game 1, game 2, figures out whatever that defensive fuck up was, because it just happened over and over. You'd have Jrue Holiday on Chris Paul. Giannis would step up, and hey, look, Giannis's guys, going to the rim. If it happened once or twice, I would have understood. It seemed to happen a little too often for me to think that it was anything more than a schematic thing, which makes me curious why you have a guy like Jrue Holiday. You traded Milwaukee's not deep. Milwaukee traded any depth they had essentially to get Jrue Holiday. So it's a little confusing to have Jrue Holiday man up on Chris Paul, and then, hey, we're going to send a double at him. Maybe not the guy you should be doubling. I don't know. We'll see if they figure it out from game 1 to game 2. But again, Chris Paul, I can't hate on him past the fact that he irritates the shit out of me. Didn't do anything irritating tonight. He just won. He did his thing. I can't say anything bad about the guy. Devin Booker, 8 of 21. He ends up with 27 points. Again, he's getting those superstar calls. He goes 10 of 10 from free throws and salvages what's kind of a garbage shooting night for him. But Giannis, 20 and 17. He has 6 of 11. There's not a whole lot. I mean, he can't be aggressive. I didn't even expect him to play. So the fact that he got what he did, great, but you can kind of see it. Again, a lot of the issues you see with these guys that can't shoot is their free throw shooting. I think Giannis is definitely a little susceptible to that 10 count that, I mean, I don't like it. So I can only imagine the guy getting counted at while he's trying to shoot free throws doesn't like it either. But I don't know. It's one of those things. I love watching Giannis play. Wish he was a little less dinged up. While he's playing, you don't notice it. But you see him walk around. He's a little gingery. At the end of the game when they took him out, he's still walking gingerly. Not the worst thing in the world. Not the worst thing in the world. It's one of those things where you see him and you're like, oh, it's worrisome. But again, hopefully over time he heals. I don't know that him playing or him not playing results in any different outcome. Chris Middleton tries to take the bulk of the scoring tonight. He goes 12-26. He goes 29.7 rebounds. And that's it. I mean, Jrue Holiday has got to do more. It's asking a lot, having him defend Chris Paul or Devin Booker on one end and say, hey, we need you to score more. But Milwaukee's not deep. They're not deep. When you're throwing out guys like Bryn Forbes, when you're throwing out Pat Connaughton in major minutes, you're gonna struggle, and that's what the Bucks are doing. They're gonna struggle through some of these games. Hopefully, it's a better series than a 5-game series. I don't want to see a gentleman's sweep, but I want to see the Bucks win. It's just me though. This is me getting my hate on. It's Chris Paul's fault. It's not my fault. One final note, and it's just it speaks to the lack of depth for Milwaukee. But if they don't figure something out, it's going to spell trouble because Brook Lopez essentially gets played off the floor. I believe Pat Connaughton came away with 28 minutes tonight. And nothing against Pat Connaughton. He's an athletic white dude. I don't know that you want to see Pat Connaughton playing 28 minutes in an NBA Finals game. But being that Brook Lopez has got cement attached to his shoes, I don't see what Milwaukee's going to do. Again, their lineup looked a little more explosive. They could clearly move a little better with Giannis at the 5. But again, with Giannis at the 5, you're asking other guys like Pat Connaughton to play a little more. Bryn Forbes, I'm not going to pretend that I'm smarter. Again, I'm not going to pretend I'm smarter than Coach Bud. But one guy is, and that man is Greg Popovich. And Greg Popovich dropped Bryn Forbes. And the Spurs are trash right now. They're not in any place to be dropping good players. But Bryn Forbes got roasted by Cam Payne. Cam Payne essentially looked like Oklahoma City Cam Payne until they put Bryn Forbes on him. And again, you put a lesser guy on Cam Payne, Cam Payne's going to just kind of go to the rack on him. Yeah. But I don't know. They can't figure out a better staggered schedule. If I don't expect Brook Lopez to suddenly get his foot speed back. He never really had it. But that's kind of the biggest takeaway that I know is the guy that got them there against the Hawks. Brook Lopez was essentially, he had his moments. I believe he scored double figures, but it's one of those things. Just you can't have one of your best players not able to hit the floor. And right now, that's where they're at. They've got about 6 guys that you'd actually want to see on the floor, and they're about down to 5 because, again, Brook Lopez is slow. But, by Friday's show, we'll have game 2 down. And, you'll either see a happy Kyle, sad Kyle. Who knows? But we're going to move on to the U.S. Olympic team. And what I'll say about that is, the big popular thing to talk about, Sha'Carri Richardson, who came out today. She was left off of the roster for the relay team. Essentially, the reason given was, when she forfeited her win during the Olympic trials, she forfeited her spot. Initially wasn't I love watching the U.S. win at sports. It's why I particularly don't love watching U.S. men's national soccer because we're just not as good at it as the rest of the world. But everybody loves U.S. men's national team basketball. We love watching track and field. We love watching swimming, or at least when Michael Phelps was around. So when I heard Sha'Carri Richardson was left off, I was like, well, man. I mean, she could have easily been on there. She was essentially able to be a discretionary pick. They allow for 2 of those slots for the track team, and it essentially said, hey, yeah, we're leaving you off. Now, what I'll say is they did name English Gardner and Aaliyah Hobbs to the team. Now, I don't know a whole lot about English Gardner, if I'm being super honest, but one thing that you can easily find about Googling Aaliyah Hobbs is Aaliyah Hobbs was the anchor for the 2019 World Relays where the U.S. won gold. Now, I don't know that she is going to for sure run in the 4x100 relay, but if I was trying to win an Olympic team, I don't see a terrible replacement for Sha'Carri Richardson and somebody like Aaliyah Hobbs. 25 years old, this is probably her last shot at an Olympic slot. Once you start pushing your upper 20s into your 30s, it's typically over. Olympics are a young person's sport for the most part when it comes to track and field. It just is. So with that, I was a little bummed to find out she was left off. I don't really care about weed. Again, I have very middling views on a lot of things. Smoking weed does not make you a better runner. It's not inherently a harmful thing other than inhaling smoke. Inhaling smoke is bad for you, but I mean, people smoke cigarettes all the time. People use vapes. And anybody trying to tell you that vapes are healthy they're lying to you. But there were rules broken. There were rules broken, and I understand it. I don't love the decision, but if we're going to replace Sha'Carri Richardson with somebody, you know what? We're replacing her with a world champion. I can't really hate on that. What is not being brought up, and you know what? I'm not going to say it's a political thing, but our 100-meter hurdles, Brianna McNeil was also left off the team. The reason she was left off the team is because she essentially lost her 5-year ban appeal. So she was able to race during the trials and then was, lost her appeal and it was essentially left off. Now her story is a little different from Sha'Carri Richardson, from everything that I read about Brianna McNeil, because it's not publicized well enough, because it's not, I don't know, it's not popular. It's probably because it paints the opposite picture. But Brianna McNeil essentially cheated. She tampered with her drug test. 5-year ban. So again, it's a bummer to see 2 young women lose, a chance at, Olympic gold. The difference is one may have cheated, the other one smoked a little weed. But again, rules are rules. I can't really fault anybody on it. You know your rules coming in. You know that you have one chance. I'll tell you right now, I don't buy the particular oh, my mother died, so I decided to smoke weed. That wasn't her first time smoking weed. That's okay. That's okay. These are one of those times that you probably should have just come out and said, hey, you know what? I did smoke weed. It was wrong of me. I'm going to accept my 30-day ban and move on. But I'll tell you right now, I don't believe any story that, she was so grief-stricken that she tried marijuana for the first time. No, I'm not saying that, her mother dying didn't play a factor, but you know what? It's one of those things that I find a hard thing to believe. Oh, well, my mother died, so I decided to smoke weed. I guess we all have our ways of coping with stuff. I just find it hard to believe that was the trigger. I do. Nobody made Sha'Carri Richardson inhale. She made her choices. The other bummer for me is U.S. men's basketball. As I was talking about earlier, I love watching it, and a big thing is because we're winners, and sorry guys, but man, if I wasn't the most surprised guy when I looked at probably the most unimpressive U.S. men's Olympic basketball team I've ever seen, it was just one of those things where it's like we're going to trot this out. This is what we're rolling with. Now let's be fair. We've got Kevin Durant, got Bradley Beal, got Drew Holiday, got Devin Booker. But then you start looking down. You're like, oh, well, we've got Kevin Love, who hasn't played in a while. And it's not that he hasn't played. It's just he hasn't been like, oh, man, Kevin Love's playing. I'm excited about that. Jeremy Grant. Jeremy Grant had a wonderful season this year. Wonderful season for Detroit Pistons, who were trash, got the first overall pick. I believe Jeremy Grant was an all-star, which is great for him. But when you start looking at a roster that consists of, Jeremy Grant, Draymond Green, Bam Adebayo, Kevin Love, like, oh, like this is what we're trotting out. And I know we have guys, LeBron's probably done with the Olympics. Steph, Steph's doing Steph things. James Harden's too fat. Yeah, I said it. James Harden's too fat. If anything, I'm walking, talking proof that if you are in bad shape, you will get hurt. Anytime I get in bad shape, anytime I, don't do enough running, anytime I don't lift enough, something comes back around, and I end up getting a little tweaked back. My hamstrings seem a little tighter. Something that doesn't really sit right. So when I call James Harden fat, it's just coming from experience where, again, if I don't take care of myself, I also hurt. And James Harden has kind of proven me right that, hey, if you let yourself get fat and then you get an injury, it might be because you let yourself get fat. But again, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little worried. Other than the guys that play, most of the year around each other, because there's some countries that they don't have NBA players on them, or maybe they have one or two, but a lot of these guys play together all the time, year round, more often than U.S. teams play with each other, because again, they come from multiple teams. I believe 8 or 9 teams are represented among the Olympic team for us. Again, I love the diversity. I love seeing we have different guys. A little less excited seeing that I believe Brooke Lopez was also on the roster, and again, oh wait, no, he got left off. Oh, good. I can be a little less upset about it. But again, I'm just speaking from a pure. I love U.S. dominance. I love the U.S. dominance in sports as a whole. Again, we're great at what we're great at. It's not we're not great at everything, but stuff that we're great at, we're typically really great at. And so seeing no hate on guys like Jeremy Grant or Kevin Love. Again, they're great NBA, good NBA players, which makes them way better than most people in the world. But yes, I do want to see, most of our all-stars, most of our American all-stars playing the game, just because, again, I like being like, yeah, we're the world champions. When the NBA finals happens, they're playing for the world championship, and they get that by proxy of winning the Olympics. That's, at one point when we lost to Argentina, they did not name them world champions during the NBA finals anymore, because we'd kind of lost that right too. Now, I honestly don't really remember last year. I don't remember if they called them world champions. Essentially, I would. Again, they are the best at what they do. There is not a better league. I know the Euro leagues are getting more and more competitive. We keep trying to steal guys from them because our league is better. But again, the U.S. has the best basketball league in the world. So you know what? I hope, for the sake of just my sanity, I hope that this team that seems kind of cobbled together due to a lot of holdouts, really hope that they win. Well, we're finally to my last subject of the show today, and it's gun violence. It's gun violence. So according to NPR, over 180 people were killed over the 4th of July holiday. Shot and killed. Now, I don't know what it is. I really don't. Because this isn't a new thing. But, seems that we have like these large get together holidays, and people tend to just kind of get a little shooty with each other. Now, anybody that knows me knows I love my guns. I love whenever I get the chance to, which unfortunately, because of COVID, ammunition's a little hard to find. But I love owning guns. I love being able to practice with them. Part of my job calls for being able to proficiently shoot guns, and yes, that's something that I, to a point, believe sane people need to have the ability to do. Sane people. I feel like the issues, there's a lot of not so sane people that are shooting guns. There's a lot of uneducated people shooting guns, and I don't mean educated from the standpoint of where you went to school. I mean, you've never taken a fucking class in your life, and if you did, you took one and you didn't really pay attention because all you really wanted to do is take a class so you can go shoot your gun. Which, hey, that's more than a lot of people are doing. One of the worst things that happened from COVID was that everybody thought the world was ending, went up and bought all the guns, all the ammunition, and weren't required to take a class or show that they knew how to safely handle any of the firearms they bought. Now, I mean, while I believe that most people should be allowed to own guns, me as a responsible gun owner believes in responsible gun ownership. That includes taking safety courses. That includes, with each weapon that I own, knowing how to proficiently handle it, knowing how to take it apart, knowing how to clean it, knowing that, hey, if I pointed at something and pull the trigger, it may go boom. I'm sure we've all seen those safety videos of guys saying, hey, I'm qualified to handle this weapon, blah, 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 bang. Pulls trigger, bang. Not once in my life have I ever thought about pulling the trigger of a weapon while it's pointed at somebody else, because one of the big rules behind shooting guns is don't shoot or don't point your gun at anything you don't intend to shoot. It's one of the biggest things. Don't point your gun at something that you don't intend on shooting. So I've never intended on shooting myself, so I wouldn't point the gun at my leg or my arm or my head or someone else. If I point the gun at somebody else, I essentially, should be ready to shoot them. But being that I've not been faced with that decision, yeah, I don't point my gun at people because it's irresponsible. Now I know I'm going to catch a bunch of crap from, if any of my buddies that own firearms or, essentially are gun nuts. I know if any of them watch this, they're going to be like, Kyle, shut up. But I actually don't have a problem with gun registration. Now, this is a conversation I've had with some people, typically family, because, family, I mean, you can typically get in stupid arguments with family and, move on because you're family. Again, disagreeing about whether or not guns should be registered doesn't really constitute not talking to my family again. But for the sake of conversation, yes, most people are very against gun registration. And I get why. You're told, hey, if we register your guns, the government's going to come and take them. I mean, maybe. I'm not going to say they're not. I don't know. What I'll say is it's not very likely. It's not. Now, again, I'm going to catch a lot of crap for it, but most of the states, per 100,000 numbers for gun deaths, Most of those states that require registration are on the lower end. Massachusetts, Hawaii, Connecticut, they all require registration. And they're on the lower end. Now I know they have less people. Less people typically causes less problems. But you know what? Like, it's one of those things that I kind of see the correlation. You see people, hey, look, these people require you to register weapons. And for the most part, they have less gun deaths. No, I'm not saying it's the only reason. I'm just saying I don't have an issue with it. I have buddies joke all the time, hey, you know what? If they require me to register my guns, I'm going to, say I lost them, or, they were stolen months ago, blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's fine. You do you. Me, again, responsible gun owner, I feel it's partially my duty to set an example. And the example I want to set is that when my children come of age, that, they know how to responsibly handle guns. To this point, my oldest child knows not to mess with guns. He has held my unloaded firearm because he's a child and I don't trust him with a loaded firearm yet. He's 11. Now, again, supervise, go take him out to the range, teach him how to shoot. The day that comes, I'm going to be super excited. Super excited. Again, I want to pass on, how to shoot. I'm not a terrible shot. Not a great shot. Not a terrible shot. Yeah, I'm going to be excited. But I want to pass that on, which is why I think it's funny that people, I don't want to register my weapon because, some fear-based thing I was told by some news source. I'm just saying, a lot of those really free states seem to be on the higher end of gun deaths per 1,000. And again, that was something I found on the CDC as of 2019, because we take about a year and a half to 2 years to collect data from prior years. Again, I don't want to restrict people's freedoms. I know. Second Amendment, we have the right to bear arms against our government, or at least, to protect us from a tyrannical government. I get that. I support it. I support it in a responsible manner, meaning that, if our government said, hey, I wanted you to register your gun just because, we have this fun tendency to shoot each other when, hey, this gun isn't registered to me. Because Illinois is, they do. They have like a relatively high, rate of gun deaths. However, they also don't require you to register your weapons. Now, Chicago might have their rules and whatnot, but the state of Illinois does not require it. I'm just saying. It's something that I think about all the time of, how can we help each other? I don't want to take away anybody's guns. Not any sane person, not anybody that's been trained. But again, as I always say, educate yourselves. Educate yourself, make yourself better qualified to handle the weapon. That's all I want. I want to keep seeing, people thrive. I understand that, there's, world's becoming a little too populated, and some people are like, hey, maybe we need to get rid of some people. I'm not one of those people. Like anything, stuff might die out. I'm just trying to, to help us not, help each other along with ending our species. That's it. Again, take a class, read a book, do whatever it is to educate yourself more on firearms. go talk to a buddy who actually knows what they're talking about, and not, Jethro out in the holler. Look, Jethro don't know what he's talking about. But that's just my little, responsible gun owner diatribe for the night. I have reached the part of the show where I go to promote my buddies because they do a good job at what they do. And I want to keep supporting them. So start off with my guy Taj TV, Facebook, YouTube. He's got an Instagram. Real funny guy. Occasionally inappropriate, but real funny. He'll tell you exactly how he feels about something. He doesn't really hedge his bets on it. God bless the guy. God bless him. Speaking of God, you know what? Marcus over at Truth Valley Church. Great guy. Doing great things through God. Again, if God's not your deal, ignore it. It's not for you. But again, he's one of my buddies. He's doing a great thing. He's got an online ministry. He's got an in-person ministry. I think it's a great thing. So again, like, subscribe, follow his page. Does great things. Lastly, Jason over at the Arizona Flag Company does great work. You can find him on Facebook. 10% off of your order. Mention the podcast. Say, hey, I know Kyle. He's a doofus. I want my 10% off. He'll be happy to do it for you. He's a good guy. He came on the podcast. Said just want to support him. He's doing good things. Does quality work. All you got to do is hit him up, and he'll let you know if he can accomplish it. And more often than not, he can. Again, the longer he does it, the more in-depth he gets, the more detailed stuff's come out. Go take a look at his page. If you have any questions, hit him up. Again, 10% off your order mentioning the podcast. And lastly, I'm going to promote myself. Anybody that's watching, like I said, doesn't take a whole lot. Like the page, share it with your buddies. Takes a click. That's it. Like, share, and then hit up my YouTube page. Again, I am going to try to start letting out little small, thoughts of the day on my YouTube page. But for now, it's just the shows being reposted. So if your friends don't have Facebook, I know some people are getting away from it. Again, subscribe to the YouTube page. I like doing this. I like, talking to people. Again, I'm hoping this gets a little more interactive. I'm hoping you guys start reaching out with questions through my email, kylethewait@gmail.com. Guys, I got a show Friday with my buddy Sam. We're going to talk about his journey during the military. Since he's gotten out, he looks homeless, but fortunately, he's got a great job he's doing. He does some gaming. He's got his own page there too. So again, if you guys want to tune in, we're going to talk to my buddy Sam. Until Friday, guys. Remember, keep being kind to each other.